Hello everyone and welcome back to another Mara stock chart planning update video. And yes, I'm going to leave the TV on because I like it. And a lot of things in this video, I'm just going to be basically repeating myself because I already made a Mara video earlier today, I think. But I want to use this as a reminder on what the structures look like, on what we can expect or potentially expect, because reminders are important, especially in such a volatile market, especially in this February, which is a lot of consolidation. And then we also have um, a lot of economic reports that weren't bad. They were bad, but they weren't terrible. And that's just setting things up for a lot more gains in the future, in my opinion. But just to kind of go over things a little bit, I already talked about this in the previous video, or even the one before that. But a lot of articles now, there's a lot of noise in the crypto market, and it's just not worth anyone's time to think about all this noise way too much. It's just not worth your time. Too much uncertainty when really there isn't, in my opinion, and just a lot of brain fog it kind of causes, if I use that term correctly. But just to kind of go over Bitcoin real quick before we jump into Mara, it will make a lot of sense. We always like to start off with Bitcoin. It gives us a better understanding of what Mara could potentially do. And just remember, guys, everything in this video is just my own personal opinion. It is not financial advice because I am not a wizard and I can't tell the future. But I always stick with my analysis until I am proven wrong. Down 6% February so far. February tends to be a positive month for Bitcoin quite strongly. But so far we're looking a little bit in the red, which is completely fine, because if you guys already know that we have 2 more weeks of February left and we continue to see sideways consolidation both in Mara and Bitcoin, this is going to make sense in a moment. And a lot of this time, we've seen this in the past a lot. We've seen this in the past where we see sideways consolidation for long periods of time, and next thing you know, it breaks out. And I'm going to give you guys just a couple of my own reasons why I'm expecting a breakout to the upside, much more than a potential breakdown to the downside. It just why it makes more sense to me as well. But just like back here, and I talked about this previously too, like back here, sideways consolidation for a very long time. Again, I'm repeating a lot of things in this video because it's a reminder. Sideways consolidation looks terrible. Lower highs, lower lows continuously for a while. But same thing as today, continued consolidation to the downside, or to the continued consolidation sideways. Not as bearish as this one, but it is moving sideways. The similarity as well is that there is continued background buying on Bitcoin. A lot more adoption is happening. It's stronger. Everything that was happening in the background here with a lot of continued buying, continued adoption of Bitcoin, and a lot of the foundation that was being built is still true to this day, with this like a month long now consolidation phase, or I think it's just over a month. Actually, it's actually like 2 months. Yeah, it's like 2.5 months. Everything's the same except that the foundation is just getting stronger. And what I'm trying to say is too, and before I jump into the smaller picture and then jump into Mara, just to, like, look at this. Even if you were to consider this, like, what do you think is gonna happen now? Oh, it makes sense that it will pump up, right? But like, why does it have to pump up? Well, here's the thing too, right? Unlike the previous long-term consolidation phase that we saw in 2024, right here we have the swing higher high. We actually had an overshooting B wave, which instead we didn't really see an overshooting B wave as clear as this in the previous structure we're looking at with that purple area on the bottom. And then also at the same time, we're not seeing those lower lows continuing to form. Instead, we saw a little bit of a downtrend here, quickly got rejected, and then it started getting that overshooting B wave, and then it's down and maximize this supportive fib extension area that I like to use a lot. It happened here, it happened here too. And in the past, I'm not going to go all the way back there, but we've seen this happen plenty of times. We've seen imbalances being filled like crazy. And most recently, we had one here. We have this one. And it's just respecting these things so well, which is, and then I'm gonna give you guys my reasons on why I think we're gonna go higher. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of short term risk as well, but then and then we'll jump into Mara. So I don't repeat myself too much and kind of get this video rolling for you guys. But basically we have some imbalance here that hasn't been filled yet. At the same time, what is backing up this imbalance, which usually in my opinion, imbalances don't really need much to back up. They fill in like 9 out of 10 times, and tend to act as a magnet. But we have liquidity walls that have actually been strengthening. And we have this one right here that's my favorite so far within this area. So we have plenty of magnets that are kind of trying to pull this crypto higher and into this area before we see major consolidation. But in the short term, we still have this imbalance right here. So we have, if we start moving higher and finally break out of this channel, we have potential resistance here. If we can hold this area, and even if it does hold, it won't hold for long. If we consolidate in here, it won't last very long before we shoot up higher. This area also shows confirmation of a potential change of structure. So in the smaller picture right here, we have a sideways moving structure where it tried pushing out of it once very clearly, but it did not hold enough to actually create that momentum, right? And at the same time, we were also waiting on a lot of economic data at this point. But then we have this supportive line right here that got filled a little bit more right here. And it keeps holding this supportive liquidity wall area down here. So supportive liquidity wall down here, resistance wall up here, it keeps holding. Both of them keep holding. It keeps jumping up and down, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this in the short term, and again, any pullback now in Bitcoin, in my opinion, is going to be very, very, very short-lived. It is not going to last very long. So I wouldn't recommend a lot of people that believe Bitcoin go up to be too greedy or try to time the market, because even if we were to pull back down here, meet up with this liquidity area that is so far acting as strong support, we're going to easily come back up and start retesting the resistance area right here. When we finally break over it, we will start testing this area before we can finally go up to our next target area, this imbalance. Eventually, I do believe we'll be up here in no time. But we have to reach this area and show strength, but we have to also break through this area in order to confirm that bullish momentum. So this is our confirmation area. We may push down a little bit lower. We have strong support right here. It can easily come down, find support over here once again before attempting to push higher. So now that's the short-term risk, which isn't really a whole lot risky in my opinion, right? Excuse me. So Mara, the way this influences Mara is that now, since Bitcoin, oh, and one more thing too, Bitcoin is kind of showing weakness, right? So it looks like it can easily come down and try to find support within this area once again. I really don't think it's gonna break below this. And if it does, I'm just gonna be adding more because it's gonna recover super quickly regardless. But as you can see, unlike over here where the RSI will bottom out here, it got very close to bottoming out here, very close to bottoming out right here. But now we're higher than that and it's already bottoming out. So now the RSI is reflecting bullish nature behind the Bitcoin. So now with this little move down, and it is President's Day tomorrow in the US, so the stock markets will not be open. So it gives Bitcoin a little bit more time to do its thing and see what happens. But if Bitcoin stays, if it comes down and it holds the lower part of that channel, besides it being a good buying opportunity for Bitcoin specifically, in my opinion, and we open the market on Tuesday in that area, then we can easily see Mara be down here. So I do believe, even if Bitcoin holds strong and it goes up a little bit, I still believe Mara may still see a little bit of a red day. I think it's more likely for Mara to come down and have a second bottom, dip down into this red area one more time. We've seen this red area being tested multiple times in the past, and we had a red area that was tested many dozens of times. I think it was around mid 2024. I made videos on it. But a little bit of a test, a little bit of a test, a little bit of a test. I do believe this test, though, is going to be a second. There's going to be a second one, and that's a really, really good buying opportunity, in my opinion. But at the same time, understanding that even if we come down here, we have a second bottom. This resistance line will weaken if we have that double bottom, in my opinion. It will weaken, and the moving average, the 120 moving average right here, will be the dividing that will tell us if there's going to be enough momentum to go into these imbalance areas. Now, I am not saying that I think if we go into this imbalance area, we're going to start shooting through it and build up a bunch of momentum and go higher. I do not think so. Even if Bitcoin shoots up a lot, I do personally believe that we have Amara earnings coming out next week, I think. So it's something to keep an eye on for Q4 of 2024. It's going to come out real soon next week here in Q1 of 2025. But due to the current resistance, due to it just being 1, 2, 3 tests, not a third test if you don't count this first one, it's just not good enough. The RSI is a little up there too. So I do believe that we can come down and have a little bit of a tap down here once again within this supportive line, which has been holding up for quite a while, as you can see, and before that as well. But either way, and we also have that like a strong accumulation area within these levels right here that we're seeing. So I do personally believe it is worth the patience to let this come down, try to have a second bottom, and then that's a really good buying opportunity in my opinion. As we come up higher, it's a good idea to start shaving some positions at the 120 in case it gets rejected. And if it doesn't get rejected, you still have a little bit of more exposure, but you locked in some profits. The reason that's important is because at the moment we reach any of these 3 imbalance areas, the moment we reach these areas, I do believe we're going to have a strong resistance and we're going to see the price fall aggressively, at least aggressively when you compare just the percentage length of this overall structure we're seeing right here. We can easily see the price come up, find resistance, most likely at the first bottom or this middle one, and then quickly get rejected and come back down to try to retest this support line as well. So there is short-term weakness. It's like 5 to 6% down before we hit this red area once again. If we do, great buying opportunity as we start going up higher. It's very important to keep a high like a very strong cautious sign at these areas right here, because it's just a strong, I don't know how else to say it, strong resistance area. As you can see, it happens a lot. There's a lot of consolidation here, which also helps act as a magnet. We have some trading here. Prices could easily come back to try to fill in that gap. And then that's where we're going to hit these resistance areas. And again, I strongly don't believe we're going to break past these and move higher. This is really, really strong resistance. But I want to see that second bottom right here. I want to see that double bottom. And that's it. That's all I have to say, guys. I hope this video made sense. I hope it was realistic. Everything I said that makes sense to you guys. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.